This is Kelly.
And this is Amy.
And you're listening to Diary of a Death Investigator. We're on episode 44, and we're going to call this one When Death Comes to Party. And before I forget, this one does come, you said party, and then it comes with a trigger warning. This story contains content about suicide. If you or someone you know is in crisis, help is just 3 numbers away. 988 is the suicide and crisis hotline, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across the United States. And if you are listening in another country and have a number we can share, please email us at kelly@diaryofadeathinvestigator.com. I was telling Amy that, so I've been traveling a lot and I've been sitting on an airplane, which means I'm either sleeping. Actually, what I have been doing on an airplane is sleeping a lot because I think I'm getting like 3 hours of sleep, getting on an airplane, getting the rest of my sleep on an airplane. Last week I was in Kentucky and Las Vegas. And then this week, I think I've been home for a little bit. So trying to recover from, I think, a cold I caught somewhere.
So Kelly's partying.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no, my company owns a couple of distilleries in Kentucky. So we did that. That was not a party. That was learning.
Right. That's what we're calling it now.
It's a really interesting process and it's a lot of work. And so it's pretty cool. And then I hopped over for non-work stuff, and that was not necessarily to party, but my husband's doing his tour with Pearl Jam right now. And so,
oh, Lord, I roll.
We went to a couple of shows in Vegas, but also I had work friends in Vegas who were partying. Well, they weren't partying. They were hosting a party for EDC. So yes, lots going on.
And Amy's at school throwing quote unquote class parties. Not as eventful as Kelly.
Not adult parties.
Miss Waters is whooping some kids at Uno, though. So, although when they're seniors, they like to get revenge on me. So, they're not so nice with like the draw twos and reverse and skip. So,
my whole point in saying this was I've had some time to sit on the airplane and read. And your friend actually gave me a good book to read called The Only Living Witness. And it is about Ted Bundy. So I thought it was just really interesting because we did a podcast, a couple of episodes on the Green River Killer. And during that, we talked about Ted Bundy offering his help to help catch the Green River Killer. But now it makes sense why, because in this book, when I started reading it, I was like, oh, they do have a lot of similarities. Like he was going after co-ed girls within a certain age. I mean, I think the Green River Killer was going after a lot of prostitutes, but he was just like picking up girls all over. I think he was pretty consistent, like one a month for a while. He moved down in similar patterns the way that the Green River Killer did. I think he started in Seattle and like worked his way either up or down, and then dropped bodies in clusters. So they didn't find anybody for a while. And in fact, they didn't even think, I'm up to the point where they didn't actually think all these bodies were even tied together. Oh, but the interesting thing I was going to tell you is, I guess girls were going missing quite a bit in the 70s. Like,
yeah,
they were filing missing persons reports, but there were a lot of missing persons reports. And I thought that was really weird that they didn't think that was weird. Like, where do you think all these girls are going?
I don't know. I think a lot of times, though, when you see young girls going missing, and it's kind of the same thing now. It's like when you see, like, technically adults go missing, they're like, well, we can't really do anything about it. They're probably just like runaways. And so they're just like, well, we can't really do anything about it. And like now when you see documentaries, they're just like annoyed about it because they're like, well, you could have done something about this earlier if you would have just gone to look for them. And it's just like, well, police, can't, like, it's like their law. They have to wait like 48 hours or something like that for them to like, technically be missing, and especially for like adults. So yeah, that's kind of scary. But like the same thing still happens now. It's like there's a ton of people missing. So on a much larger scale that we don't know about.
Yeah. Well, I think that is a lot to do with possibly like a human trafficking. And maybe that was then too. But I think then what I had read is like, it wasn't uncommon for girls to like hitchhike and go to parties for like, be missing for a couple days. So I'm like, okay, so no one called in missing boys. They only called in missing girls.
Well, what's crazy is like, I still see videos, which this probably happened a lot then, but now we have a lot of like CCTV footage available to us now that is not so grainy. It's a lot more clear. I see so many people that are so bold as to attempt to just like kidnap children or women in broad daylight. Like even just women, like that are leaving the grocery store or something and like pushing their carts to their cars. And it's either women that get pushed into their vehicle, or maybe they have their babies and they're putting their babies into their car, or they're loading their groceries and like someone is like stealing their child like out of their car, and like the woman's trying to like fight the man off and like pull their child away from them. It is so brazen to see this happen in like broad daylight. It's just like, I'm just shocked that this actually happens. So I don't know. And maybe that happened a lot then, and they just didn't, there's no access to cell phones or anything then. And
well,
I don't know.
Also, I don't want to say, when I told Jeff this, I was like, hey, it was really weird that women were going missing and no one thought it was weird. He reminded me, he's like, you also remember rape was a misdemeanor back then too. Like, I'm not saying women's rights or anything like that, but like maybe it wasn't.
Well, still though, if you think, a lot of women don't actually report like rape and assault stuff anyways, because of how long it takes for those to get tested. So still, like I said, not really reported as much as it really does happen.
So Amy's story is called When Death Comes to Party. And she wanted to do it because she's celebrating this week because her kids are out of school. And this is Amy's last week of being a teacher.
It's bittersweet. Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet because like I love my students a lot this year, and they're a special group. And probably like 90% of my students are seniors. So we've made this week fun, and a lot of them graduated on Saturday. So yeah, they've lots of grad parties and stuff like that. But this one wasn't necessarily a graduation party, but it was like the closest one I could find to that. So we're just going with it.
All right.
It was actually a birthday party for this gentleman. And this was actually a couple days after his birthday, but it was being celebrated the good old fashioned way, out in a barn, out in the middle of nowhere. So, what usually happens in barns, they are some big parties. So sure, you could imagine the whole family and extended family was invited, and their extended family. So it got a little crazy and out of hand. And this guy, he's known to be really crazy when he parties anyways. He's younger, in his earlier 30s. He's married and he has some younger children, and he and his wife, they've had some marital problems because of his drinking. So he has some drinking problems. And like I said, when he drinks, he can get a little violent, I will say. So he's had quite a bit to drink, and apparently he can drink quite a bit. So not only does he have a problem when he drinks as far as getting angry, but he drinks often and he drinks quite a bit. And of course, his drink of choice is beer. He likes his beer. So
how many people were at this party?
It was a lot. So of course, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
100?
I wouldn't say 100. It's probably like 50 though, around that range, because when I had gotten there, which was like the next morning, there were still like 10 cars plus at the house because, people were there sleeping it off. So.
Oh, so there's still people at their house.
Yes. So I'll have to recreate the scene for you. It's one to behold, I will tell you. Like I said, it's out in the country. Like literally nothing else is out there. It's their house. It's kind of like one of those refurbished homes is what it looked like. And off of the side of the house, there's a long porch. In the front of the house, there's a porch as well. So there's 2 wooden porches. And then the barn is like a tin barn. It's like a shop that he works in. And so that's where they're having like the main party at. And in this barn, there's like tables set up where they had been playing like drinking games and everything. And like I said, there's several cars that are still parked on their grass, of course. And they have some cows and stuff that are in the fields. And it's actually really funny if you've ever been around like friendly cows. They're actually really nosy when there's like stuff going on, because they'll come up to the fence and they just like stand there and they just watch you. They don't want to be touched or anything. They just want to know what's going on. It's almost like they're like whispering to each other, like, you know, hey, like, Betsy, what do you think's going on over there? Like, they had quite a party last night, you know? Yeah. So they're almost like nosy neighbors, you know? They're like sitting there, like watching you. And so, yeah, there's cows on the other side. There's this barn, and then there's like the house. So there's like actually like enough cars there. Like I can't pull up close enough to get like right next to the barn itself. So I actually have to like get all my stuff and walk up to this barn. And it's like the middle of summer. So it's like warm at this time. By the time like I get there, or it's like still kind of warm, because summers here, it never like really cools off. And it's like so muggy and humid. It's like just disgusting all the time. And it's like mildew on the grass. It's just like, ugh, gross. Like you're already sweating. It's just not a fun time for anybody. And you're like walking across the grass. You're like already sweating. It's actually like 5:30 in the morning, and it's already like hot, or like still hot from the night before. And the time that I had gotten this call was like, I don't know, like 4 in the morning. And he had been pronounced like a little before 4 in the morning. And that's because like that's the time that they got there. So they had been partying like all day before and all night. So you could just imagine how drunk everyone had been. And you can just imagine what is all over the floor, all these blue cans. It's like a sea of blue. And then cigarette butts everywhere, other smelly things of other nature, you know, drug paraphernalia. So I'm asking them like, okay, well, where's the decedent at? And they said, well, he's in the barn. And I'm like, well, why do you have the barn doors open? Because there's like big shop doors, and one is wide open facing towards the house, and there's another one that's open facing towards the field where the cows are. And the people that are actually like awake are his wife and like 2 other people. And so they're able to actually look in there and see what's going on. But the other thing which is, I shouldn't be laughing about, but like people are like passed out on the porch outside. I'm just, it's gotta be just hot. Or maybe they don't even realize like what is going on at this point. So yeah, there's like people sleeping on the porch out there. And then there's like people sleeping in their cars. So there must not have been any available place to sleep inside the house. So that's where they chose to sleep. So I'm like trying to walk towards the barn, and this guy's brother, like the deceased guy's brother.
You were asking why the barn doors were open. So why were the barn doors open?
Yeah. They're like, well, we didn't think it was a problem to shut him because they had already seen him. And I was like, that doesn't matter. This is like a crime scene now, because like we're being told that he shot himself, but we don't know that.
So you didn't tell us how he died yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it was reported to us that he had shot himself.
Okay.
So that's all I had been told at this point. So I was like, we treat every suicide as suspicious because we don't know if someone else did it and like staged it to be that way, right? So I'm telling him like, shut the doors. So I'm like, I don't care how hot it is. I'm like, just shut them. So, which in this case, it was a county, but then they brought in my state friends and not my actual friends, the one that
your arch nemesis?
Yeah. So I can't remember if later the other one came that I actually liked because the other one was like switching off duty. So I feel like I think the other one came in at a different time that I actually do like. So, because like some of them work in different areas of the state too, like just like I did when I worked like in the districts. So yeah, I told him, I was like, well, you guys like need to shut the doors. And then like the brother of this guy like comes in and he like wants to talk to me like right away and like tell me everything. And I'm like, I haven't even like looked at him yet. And he's like, well, I really need to talk to you and like tell you what happened. I was like, yeah, of course. Like I'll talk to you afterwards. And he's like, I just know that he's been like really depressed and he's been saying like he's been wanting to like kill himself for like a long time because like his wife is like trying to leave him and like take his kids. And he's like, and then like my daughter died like 10 years ago, like to this day. And I'm like, okay. I was like, this is a lot of information right now. I was like, I'll just come talk to you like afterwards. So I go in and of course I get the story like from the county sheriffs, which they're saying, you know, they know this guy because like, of course, you know, he's kind of like the town drunk kind of person. And so they're, you know, they're always familiar with those kinds of guys because like they kind of have that reputation of like being the one that he has, you know, like DUIs and that kind of stuff and, you know, going there for like domestic kind of stuff. They said, you know, it had been reported that they had, you know, had his birthday party there that night. He's basically talking about how he was going to show off and do like party tricks for them at one point. And it was, you know, after midnight at this time and he started saying all this stuff. And then 2:00, 3:00 rolls around and the kids, his kids are like 3 years old. I remember there being like a little Barbie Jeep in there. I specifically remember that. But there, you know, there's kids' toys and stuff in there too. The kids were in there with them, like when all this is going on still at this time. And he's like, you guys want to see a trick? I'll show you a trick. He gets out this gun and he puts it to his head and he pulls the trigger in front of his kid.
That was his whole plan?
Yeah.
He just was going to kill himself the entire time?
I don't know if he originally, like, wasn't at the, like, the gun was in the barn, but I don't know if he had just been drinking so much, it just pushed him to do it. And yeah, and I'm like, well, why is there a gun just sitting there, like, readily available? And they said, well, he had been outside earlier that night, and this is, like, according to other people that I talked to, like the sheriffs, and he was just out there earlier that night, going outside, like, shooting the gun off in the air, because they were, like, partying and stuff. I was like, so there's all these people around outside partying, the kids are out here, and he's just walking outside, shooting his gun off in the air. They're like, yep.
Well, probably not the first time he's done this. No one's probably surprised.
No. So I'm sure maybe this is one of the reasons why the wife was like wanting to leave him. Like, hey, he's like really reckless in front of his kids. And this is, you know, one of those things. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I talked to his brother and I was like asking his brother all this stuff. Brother like confirmed everything. Apparently he's starting to like shoot himself before doing the same type of thing. And brother didn't say that he was planning to do this at his party, but it's like, why did you guys let him have guns then?
Yeah.
If this was like a thing. So I don't know, but yeah, I guess what a way to ruin a party. What a party pooper.
Or celebrate his birthday.
It's my party. I'll cry if I want to, I guess. So
He wasn't crying.
yeah, it was so, I don't know. It was like so bizarre because we're like looking like outside and we're just like, we don't even like see. I mean, there was like casings there, but like we couldn't find the projectiles. We never found the projectiles. So we don't know where like they landed. But yeah, like honestly, those people were like really lucky that they didn't get like shot by him. And I don't know. I never did end up talking to the wife. The wife didn't want to talk to me. I mean, it was understandable, but what a party.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's a sad way to end a birthday. I wouldn't say you go in the world, but you choose when you go out of the world. I don't know. That's just sad.
he did at least.
Yeah, his little kids. And sounds like a lot of people were not as traumatized as they probably should have been, though. I don't think I'd be sleeping in my car or on the porch.
Definitely not on the porch during the middle of summer here. I don't know.
I'd probably be calling a friend to come pick me up. Like, come pick me up. I'm not going to be around for this. Or maybe they told everybody to stay because they thought that you guys would ask them questions.
That could be the sheriff showed up and just told everyone to stay. So they could get a nap in.
And the cows wouldn't make very good witnesses, I guess.
No.
Although we did have an episode like a few weeks ago about the cat who spoiled it all. So
yeah, with the camera. I know. I wonder if that cat's still around somewhere. I want to know what happened to that cat.
You're not worried about the lady, you're worried about the cat.
I am worried about that cat. There's lots of cats that I've met at homes. I'm like, I want to put that cat in my bag. Just no one would ever know.
Well, somebody would know. I think that might be good. I was going to say side hustle, but that shouldn't be a hustle. That should be like more of a charitable like thing that you're doing. You could like help people who have had tragedy, like find homes for their pets.
I think that there are some shelters actually here that are pretty good about doing that stuff, actually. Although I have had some people that are, it's sad, where their parents die and then the kids are like, well, I don't want anything to do with these animals. They're like, you can just lock them back in the house. I'm like, these were your parents' like beloved animals and you don't want anything to do with them. And they're like, no, I could care less. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to wait here until like animal control at least shows up for these animals to like be taken. So that is definitely really sad. But there are a lot of great shelters and rescues here that do stuff like that rehome animals. It's really great.
I wouldn't have to worry about that. I think people would have dibs on at least a couple of my animals. One,
your dog. I'll take your dog. But
everybody wants the dog.
Your cat's good luck.
Most people want one of my cats at least, but he comes with a cat. Einstein comes with his own cat.
Okay,
and then no one wants my other one. No one wants Gideon. Poor Gideon.
They can be barn cats. I don't know. he's a great hunter.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Kelly's #crazycatlady, and the one cat, I don't know, he draws blood just when you make eye contact with him. So yeah, he's scary.
Except that he's a big baby, because last night when we tried to get him to come inside, he wouldn't come inside, but I can hear him on the roof. So I had to go all the way out there just to get him off the roof. He's an 18-pound tabby cat. It's not like he can't jump down. He does all the time. He just wanted his mom to go get him down. So anyway, lots of off topics today. We all have a lot going on. Like I said, this is Amy's last week teaching. I just got back from a couple of big events from work. And so we're obviously late this week. Sorry, we haven't been feeling well. We've had a lot going on. We're going to make up for it, though.
Yeah, and Amy might be getting a new job here soon, so be putting out into the universe.
Amy would like to go back in the field of forensics. So if anybody has any leads, she has some job opportunities available right now, but I'm sure she's open to suggestions. Yeah. But if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at kelly@diaryofadeathinvestigator.com, or you can message us on our Instagram page. And until next time,
bye.